Welcome, everybody.
Welcome. Hello. Good night.
Good evening, everybody.
Kalpana.
Hi, Enric. How are you?
Good.
Awesome.
Very good.
Apparently, we want to talk about relationships tonight.
Yes. Yes. Apparently, yes.
But finding out what's true for you.
Yeah, it's a good one, right?
It's a really good one. I think that relationships is one thing that we haven't really learned what's true for us.
Yeah. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining. We are going to talk a bit about this beautiful thing called relationships, and especially about that, right? About what's true.
Yeah.
And maybe something else.
Yeah, it's a big topic, relationships. I think it's the one thing that like we all have it somehow, right? With somebody, especially with yourself.
Yeah.
And finding out what's true is really like kind of, for me, you're the one who came with this topic and I really loved it because I was like, wow, finding out what's true for you is like, how much have we learned to look at what we see? And then, and then we go, oh, it must be like this, or apparently that's how it should be, but not really like what's true for yourself.
Yeah, the thing here is that there is a big difference between what you think or what is true for you, let's say, and what is other people thinking or wanting or expecting, right?
Yeah.
So that's for me, makes a big difference. And it's all about being present and having awareness about all these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. And Nicole writes, so if something is true for you, it doesn't have to be true for me. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is not what we've learned. We've mostly learned that if it's true for somebody, then we have to make it true for us.
Yeah, and that's the invitation of this Zoom. Also, we are doing RDD class this Sunday, and also the intro. Yeah, me and Kalpana. And also the week after, we are doing the RDD class, which is 2 days class. But yeah, from now and onwards, and for all of you, the invitation here is to have the space where you can see what's really true for you. And as I was saying, is an exercise of presence that you can be so triggered by some thoughts, and you can start to think, oh, I should do this, I should have a relationship like this, oh, I should expect that from a relationship, or my partner should do that, or I'm not looking good in this relationship, or whatever, any kind of thoughts that you're having. You might want to look that and see if that's your reality, your truth, or it's just some thoughts and some other people's points of view.
Yeah. Expectations.
Yeah. Also.
Yeah, right. And like you said, there's a lot about how we see to others, how they do it. And then like our parents, for example, we see how they do relationship between each other, but also with people in general. When we talk about relationships, it's not just about love relationships, it's about any kind of relationship. And I think one of the things, like Enric and me, we've been talking a lot between each other, is also how we see our parents do stuff. And then you're like, wow, I'm doing that, or I'm reacting still to that, or I'm not even realizing how much I'm doing that. So it's like not true for you, actually, but you're just doing it without realizing.
Yeah. Yeah. Also how you have been educated, right? So, I mean, you have been treated in a way that maybe that had created some reality for you. So it's also interesting to see, what's really true. But for me, this thing about seeing what's true for me, it comes from allowing anything, right? I mean, because sometimes you have the expectation that you should be or do something, and then you are not doing it, and then you are totally lost, and then you are upset even for not getting what you would like to get or whatever, so that's also part of finding the truth. Finding the truth is also allowing whatever that is in your world, that maybe it's a shit, but you need to allow it, otherwise you cannot see it, and you cannot see if it's true or not, if it's yours or not.
I think this is really huge, and you've shown me this a lot with allowing whatever comes up to come up. And a lot of times I can speak for myself, and I think many of us can, you guys can maybe see if it's true for you, or if you do that, it's like you don't allow it to come up because you judge. Like, let's say I'm really being possessive about my boyfriend, and I'm like, hey, who did you talk to? Or you didn't write me back, or blah, 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 blah. And then we're like, oh no, I don't want to be like that. So then we repress it and we judge it, and that creates other shit. Creates contraction, creates not being present, creates all kinds of stuff. But if you actually say, this is somehow coming up, what if I allow it? And then in that moment, you allow it, and actually it can create, like, what is behind it? What's going on? Oh, actually, I realize I care more for you than I ever realized. That's actually going on. So this allowing of energies, of emotions, of whatever, is really a very different way of being. I think for me, it's something that I've learned a lot from you, Enric. Seeing you just allow things to come up and not make it solid or like forever. Like at this moment, this is coming up. This is true now. And you don't judge it, you just allow it. And so then it can gift to you. But we go into judging and then you make a mess.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's not about finding what's your, let's say, perfect relationship or your perfect position in the relationship, what's the truth, what's the reality, and it's something that is fixed. So for me, it's not really like that, because things are moving, life is moving all the time. So it's the same with other topics, other things in life. Of course, you get clarity and you know what you want, but as you can see, what you want, it can change. So it's not something that you say like, yeah, that's the truth, and that's how it goes in relationship, that's what we have been implanted with, like to find a way, perfect, let's say, composition, situation of relationship, and then we have to fight for that, hold into that, cry for that, and die for that, right? Sometimes.
Suffer for that.
Huh?
Suffer for that.
Suffer for that, and yeah, and what's true, it's all the time changing, because you are changing. Life is not something defined. So why relationships or your relationship should be defined? Or why what you like or what's true for you should be defined?
Yeah, totally true. It's so, and I think with relationship, we just go so much to definition, so much to this is how it should be, or this is the right way to be, or this is what I expect somebody else to be. It doesn't really allow so much for being present with the energies that are up and like looking at what's available or what we are aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to put an example with the thing that you were saying, that, for example, I like so much how people, including myself, would say, yeah, I would like you to be free. I'm not jealous. And then you're just like fucking jealous like hell. And then that's the way it works. Your expectation is that you want to be a free person, right? I want you to be happy and to hang out with your friends and everything. And then you're like, oh my God, stalking with a guy or with a lady or whatever, So that's for me part of this finding the truth, which is like, oh wow, that is affecting me. So that's also where I can get vulnerable. So it's where I can get somewhere else. Otherwise, it's all about lying yourself, about lying others, with these expectations and saying like, yeah, no, I'm okay. How are you? Yeah, I'm good. So finding what's true is also seeing what's happening inside you, right? So if something is affecting you, so the best way to change it is just acknowledging.
So true. And I think this pretending, there's no, I'm fine, I'm not, it's okay. And then you're like dying inside or so upset or angry at the person and angry at yourself. That's what we mostly do, right? We're so busy to do it in the correct way. Well, it's not really real or honest. And I think that's what you just said, like being vulnerable. That's the huge one. Like if we can just be vulnerable and be like, hey, I'm having a hard time here, or hey, I notice all this stuff is coming up. Can we talk about it? Or with your friend, with your neighbor, with your parent, with your girlfriend, whoever, with your lover. Like, what if we can get vulnerable? And I think that's the big key from what you just said. A lot, instead of doing the pretending like it's fine, and meanwhile, like, you know, it's like, hey, it's okay. Let's be vulnerable.
Yeah, and what you just said, like, yeah, it's okay, and then this is the hating that you start to create, you know. So if you are holding any hating between you and your partner in a relationship, it cannot be a great relationship, never.
Yeah.
But that's also part of, like, in this reality, that's normal. It's normal to be fucked up for your partner, you know. Well, fucked up, fact and fucked up, you know. Especially fucked up after a few months, right, or a few years, because there is all these subtle things that if you are not choosing consciousness, if you're not choosing to be aware, you will miss these things, and then you will have all the big things like problems and situations that you don't know how to fix it, and you will say, yeah, relationship is so complicated. So our invitation here for you is like, hey, what if this topic in your life can be different? Doesn't need to be complicated, doesn't need to be harmful, painful. You can be, you know, can be cared, you can be loved, you can find the great space of caring for you. What if that's possible?
Wow, that's beautiful. And I think that's the thing. We all like that. We would all like that with yourself, with others. It doesn't really matter. But then if like we have been in some way, we have this paradox, right? Like what you said, Enric, there's this, oh, it's normal that it's fucked up. It's normal that I'm not happy with my husband after 1 year. Or it's normal that I'm, you know, I hate my mom, but I will sell. I also, I'm really nice to her and I allow her to kill me every day. Like all these pretense and dying and just struggle is so normal. It's like this, survive it. You'll make it. You'll manage. Everybody's managing. It's part of being on this planet. And then there's this desire for peace. There's this desire, like you said, to be cared for, to care for yourself, to not judge, to be loved, to really have this energy of like, oh my God, I can relax. And it seems like these two just, you know, they're fighting all the time. It's like, what if it doesn't have to be so hard and difficult? It just, I get what it asks for you to get present, like, hey, what's true for me? And getting honest and vulnerable and present. And then it doesn't have to be such a hell. And I think that's also seems like a fantasy. Seems like everybody wants it, but nobody gets it. And I think one of the things we see with using the tools, with being really present and demanding of ourselves this beautiful energy, it's like it's possible. Just have to be willing to get present and go for something different, right, Enric? Like be willing to be different around this topic as well.
Yeah, be brave enough to have freedom with that. Because what I see many people is like, we all have the desire, and then they say, yeah, I met this person, and yeah, and it's so cool, and and there's this and whatever, and it's like you can see already, like, okay, this is not working for you.
Yeah.
But you just like have it because it's a relationship, you know, because it's so important to have a relationship in this world, you know. It's like, it's so important that many of us would just like have, you know, the relationship because it's a relationship, not because it's working or because it's what you are looking for. So that's also part of this finding the truth. Like the truth is like, what are you looking for?
Yeah. Wow.
And then it's like, I have this person now here, is what I'm looking for? And, and then you can, maybe it's yes, or maybe it's no.
Yeah.
Of course, we all have we all mistake, we all do wrong things, right? But it's about getting more and more present and more matching what's true for you, what you desire.
Yeah, and that courage, like you said, to actually be present and not just do the thing that you do. Like, oh, be present. And is this what I desire, this person or this kind of interaction? And if it's a yes, wow, what else can you have? And if it's a no, how often, and I can include myself, you're like, oh, no, I don't want, that's not like, that's the wrong answer. This should be yes, it cannot be no. So let's just talk about something, you distract yourself. It's not so bad. I'm not dying, I'm fine. Look at other people, you can give yourself excuses to make a certain kind of relationship, whatever it is, can be with your parent, can be with your child, can be with your wife or anybody, somebody who works with you, or somebody you work for, or even a friend, like that. We kind of have to really be willing to be courageous, to be present with, is this really what I desire? And if that's a no, that's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean you have to go fight even, but it's like, hey, can we change it? Can I change it? What's happening? What's going on? This presence is really very powerful tool, and asks for courage. Yeah.
Ayman says, guys, can you talk about the relationships that kills us, but still we keep choosing it? Is what just Kalpana was saying, right? So yeah, it's unconsciousness. All this is programming. It's implanting. It's implants that we have, ideas, points of view, emotions, all these things that are in our heads and in our walls, and we choose something that doesn't work. So that's anti-consciousness. Unconsciousness and anti-consciousness.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kalpana, maybe.
No, go for it. Keep going.
No, it's like, just change it, like stop doing it, but that's where you have to get very honest. You have to be very honest to see what you really want. I was sharing some videos. I'm doing also some short videos, and the first one in English was that one, also in Spanish, but it's on my social media. But the first one was that, just to start to, to ask yourself, what are you desiring from a relationship? Because if you don't have clarity on that, then is when you have a relationship that is a shit, but you have it just because it's a relationship. And when I say relationship, can be a person, the partner. Let's say if you like girls, or if you like men, whatever. It's like just because you have a man or a woman or a relationship, you keep it and you keep choosing it, even if it's a shit. It's like being hungry and just like eat whatever that you don't like, but you just eat it because you are hungry. And it's not true. There is more food, there's more choice, but you keep eating the same food that is not nice for your body. So with the food, you can see it a bit more.
Yeah.
But relationships looks like, no, it's so important. It's a woman, it's a man. Oh, I cannot reject it.
Yeah, exactly. And this is it. Like, if you can see that you're choosing something that's not working, you have to get courageous if you want something different. Otherwise, you keep killing yourself and pretending it's okay, right? And so it's also this willingness to change stuff. That doesn't mean ending a relationship, but it can be changing an energy or changing yourself. But it's really like, how honest can we get and how present can we get? What if we can give up all these, like you said, it's so nice, Enric, these perfect compositions, right? Like the girl, the boy, the dog, like, well, well, all these kind of compositions we have, like the 2.5 kids, or the mother and the daughter, and all these stories about how it should be. And it's like, hey, this is actually killing me. What am I choosing? Why am I what am I doing here? And it's possible to change it. It's possible to choose something different. It's possible to get honest, but it's like an inside job. Nobody can do it for you.
Yeah.
And
There
it
was a
might,
message. Oh,
sorry,
sorry, go.
yeah, it might look easier to not do it. Like, oh, my relationship is okay. I mean, some things are, but it's okay. And this it's okay is like, do you want your life to be okay while you're actually dying and you don't even want to know it? Or are you going to be like, hey, I don't have to complain about it, but I can just see that these things are actually not kind to me. And we're not, if you choose something that doesn't work for you, you're not being kind to the other person either. I remember once Enric was like saying something I was talking about my relationship. He's like, how much is it also not a kindness to the other person? Right? And it's like, wow, yeah. Like we look at our point of view, but it's also the other person. Like, what are you holding in place by the story of it's okay, it's not so bad. I don't really want to know about it. It's fine. It's good. And this willingness to be like, hey, but I don't want okay. I want fucking phenomenal life. I don't want to have okay. I want to have fantastic, nurturing relationships. It's a very different life.
Yeah, just think something. If you are suffering, you are slaving the other people to suffer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are choosing that for you. You are creating that. So especially if you are in a relationship, so you are creating that for the other person.
Yep.
That's why it's so important, you. And I always think that it's so important myself or oneself, because if you finish the relationship, who ends up there alone, or let's say who will just like create the life afterwards, is you. The other person, even sometimes after a relationship, you don't talk anymore to the person. So, and maybe it's not the case. It's not that we have to break up, but nowadays breaking up, it's kind of normal. You don't have to hold till you die. So yeah, so who is there after the relationship? It's you. So why do you care so much about the other person?
Exactly.
And that at the same time give you to have everything be totally in with the relationship when you are in.
Yeah.
Because you can lose it, you can have it, so you can own it and you can enjoy it.
Yeah. And that part, like the willingness to lose it and the willingness to own it, that's like for me, like one of the big freedoms and different way of being in with yourself and with others. And I think also one of the things that we will be talking about during the RDD class.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there is few questions.
Yeah.
Maybe we just mention the questions or answer the questions. We will try, guys. I
Yeah.
had one that was a private message, so I will share it. It says, so how to be in relationship after a long time of breakup?
Mm.
Yeah, I think that maybe we want to do it more in the class. Good topic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Just come to the class if you would like to explore more. We'll have the intro and the full class. The intro this Sunday and the full class the next end of the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is more, Kalpana? You want to?
I think that some of them are
Yeah.
comments, and thank you guys for your comments. People are reading them. Everything is possible. Exactly, Lara. I totally agree. And how to start a relationship if you're a happy single. You don't have to.
Yeah, that's the other point, it's like it's so valuable to have a relationship. So it's like you will feel always wrong in this reality if you don't have a relationship. That's why many of us have a relationship, even if it's a shit, because it's better to have a shitty relationship than nothing,
Yeah.
than no relationship.
Yeah, exactly. Relationship. Exactly, Lara.
Exactly, relationship.
You got it. So I would say, Nada, enjoy the fuck out of being happy single. And if there's something in your world that you're aware of that you would like to create something different, follow the whispers, follow that. There is no how can I say, there's nothing required. If it's a bit like, if something is working, don't fix, don't fix what's not broken. But a lot of times it's broken and we don't want to know it's broken, and we're pretending there's nothing to look at, right? But if you're happy, have fun. And if you're looking for, you're like, hey, I would like to add somebody in my life. I would like to have more. I remember like 1.5 years ago, I really was like, I would really like to have more kindness in my life. And I started to ask for that, but it didn't have to look like something then that energy. So if you would like to have a certain energy or a certain kind of people around, ask for that and it can show up, and you don't have to give up your happy single either. And you can, but you don't have to. You don't have to do this relationship story just because, it's in all the magazines and all the storybooks and all the fairy tales that we have read,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I think also one of the things we will talk about, because it's also like how many people go, oh no, you're single, like it's a life sentence. And we probably go, oh no, you're married. It's like it can be all life sentences if you're not really happy with yourself. So, yeah.
But that's how it works, this reality. You are always fucked up. So it doesn't matter what you do.
Either way, you're fucked.
You will be
Yeah.
always fucked up and seeking for be great, right? So yeah, the solution is it's awareness, it's consciousness. It's to get more conscious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you step out of this shit, as
Exactly.
you're doing with many things in your life,
Yeah. Yeah. And Freike says it's nice with the RDD class that things fall in place energetically, things that seem such hard things to overcome because you create so much space. I really agree. There's so much that changes in that class energetically, that the things that you don't seem to be able to deal with, they get changed because we change the energy and you change your relationship with yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Nof is saying, what about the opposite? Not knowing myself after years of relationship.
Yeah. So you have to see from where did you create your relationship? So how long is that already created? Maybe since the beginning. And there is nothing wrong with that. It's more about, okay, finding what's truth for you. Now, what's truth for you? What do you want? There's nothing wrong. If it didn't work for years, if you don't find yourself, if you don't have confidence, that's very normal in this reality. To have a relationship, sleep next to the person and not having confidence. Isn't that insane? Yes. So it's how it works usually. Of course, there's like some exceptions in the planet that they are really like close together, but many relationships, they last for many years and there's no confidence. And the confidence maybe was there at the beginning and sometimes even not, So then you have to look what's your relationship and how you would like to have your relationship or your relationships. And then that's what's true for you. What's true? Ask yourself, what's true for me? And then you start to find it out.
Yeah. And also, like when you say, like, after years of a relationship, not knowing myself, this really like finding out like what is true, and start to question, like when you say, oh, I don't like this, is that true? Or I like this, is it true? Like really be present with everything, and you will start to see how many things you have been taken as normal for yourself because it was a response to the other person. It was a reaction to the other person, or it was a mimicking of the other person. So you literally have to untangle all those things to be you, and from that space. And I think that's what RDD did for me. The first time I went to an RDD class, I really was like, holy shit, this is about me with me. Like the rest is extra. It's so much about my relationship with myself. It doesn't matter if you've been in a relationship long or not. We're so entwined with other people and their ways of living and functioning that we don't even realize it. And when we start to get what's true for us, we can start to choose more what works and what's honest for us. Yeah. I'm excited and for these classes.
Yeah, me too. So much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go together. Who is joining us?
Yes.
Yes.
So join us Sunday evening. We have at 8 p.m. Europe time, we have the intro. And then next week, Friday and Saturday, we have the 25th and 26th. We have the RDD with the amazing manual, and excited to have this truly life-changing class. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, don't choose it, like it's for sure there's nothing for you in this topic. It's so funny, like everyone, that's the biggest thing, everyone wants to be right of their shit in relationship,
Yeah. You can hold
we
on
all
to
want to
it.
be right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So like we don't want to change it, right? So yeah.
exactly. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much for being here.
You all. Thank you, translators. Thank you, Enric.
Thank you. Thank you, Kalpana. Thank you, translators and everyone. Good night.
Good night. Bye.
See you soon.